Hello students, today we will start chapter number 5, which is magnetism and matter. We have an introductory part where we have some story regarding how the word magnet evolved. So the introduction is like this. The word magnet is derived from the name of an island in Greece called Magnesia, where the magnetic ores deposits were found. Now how this magnetic ore deposits were found there? So the shepherd complained their wooden shoes which had nails stuck to ground, which was difficult for them to walk. So the shepherd actually started complaining that their nails get stuck. These nails were in their wooden shoes and they find it difficult in walking. So they found that there is a magnetic ore deposited on this island. The name of the island was Magnesia, and therefore from this Magnesia word the magnet is derived. Then a long piece of magnet when suspended freely pointed in north-south direction. So from this magnetic ore they made a bar magnet, or they make a length like this, a rectangular strips were made, and when they were suspended later on, this was known as a bar magnet. Now when this long piece of magnet was suspended, they always point in the north and the south directions. So because they always point in a particular direction, that is if they always point in north south direction, so one end was known as the north pole and other end was known as a south pole if it gets aligned in the direction of north south. So because they give the information about the direction, initially they were named as lodestone or leading stone, because they used to give us the information about the geographic north. Now this magnetic ore was actually a substance which is known as iron magnetite. So this is natural magnet. So this iron magnetite is referred as natural magnet, which was found on an island of Greece, and its formula later on was found to be Fe2O3. Now this Chinese traveler used this leading stone, or we say a needle. Later on we called it a magnetic needle. So when this long strip magnets were named, later on they were named as the magnetic needle. So Chinese used this lodestone for their navigation purpose. So this was a history behind the word magnet. Now what are the main points regarding magnetism? The first point is the earth behaves as a magnet with magnetic field pointing approximately from geographic south to geographic north. So we will come to this point that earth itself is a magnet, and its magnetic field lines are from south to north. Say if any long piece of magnet or magnetic needle, suppose this is a magnetic needle or a lodestone, if I hang it, suspend it freely, suppose this is its north pole, then when I twist it, it points towards north. It means this north is attracted by some opposite polarity. So later on it was found that earth itself is a magnet, but its magnetic behavior is opposite to that of our magnets. So north was pointing towards a geographic north, but actually inside the earth the behavior of geographic north is like a south, because this needle, when it is moved freely or when it is twisted freely, it always comes or it gets aligned in the direction of north south. It means this north is attracted by some opposite polarity and this south is attracted by opposite polarity. So we will study this, that the earth is actually, the behavior of earth is actually a magnet. Its behavior is like a magnet, and its magnetic field will be from geographic south to geographic north. As far as bar magnet is known, we say the magnetic field line is from north to south and inside it is south to north. So it will be opposite in the case of earth. So we will come to this portion. Then the second point or property was, when the bar magnet is suspended freely, it always points in northward direction. The tip which was pointing towards geographic north was named as North Pole, and the tip pointing geographic south is called the South Pole. Then we know that like pole repels and unlike poles will attract. Then the property about the magnet is, we cannot isolate north or south pole. Means if I cut this bar magnet into a two piece, again I will get the two small bar magnet like this. So it is not possible to isolate south or north. Even if I cut this into many tiny pieces, each tiny piece will behave like a magnet. So magnetic monopole do not exist, unlike electric charge where the electric monopole do exist but magnetic monopole do not exist. Then the artificial magnets were made. This was our natural magnet which was found near an island, Magnesia. So that was iron magnetite. But later on, the artificial magnets were also made from iron and its alloy. So this is the basic information about the magnetism. Now what we are going to study in this is the description of a bar magnet, then the behavior of a bar magnet in external magnetic field. So as we kept an electric dipole in a uniform electric field or in an external uniform electric field, we will see when the bar magnet is placed in external magnetic field whether the torque act on it or not. Then we have a Gauss law for magnetism. Then we will study about the Earth's magnetic field, that why it is from geographic south to geographic north, and we have its elements. Then how the magnetization of substance is done, means artificial magnets are made from iron and its alloy. So how a substance is magnetized or how the artificial magnets can be made. Then classification of the substance on the basis of magnetic properties. See, every substance behavior is different when they are placed in external magnetic field. So we will see that when different substances are placed in external magnetic field, their behavior will be different. So depending upon this, the substance will be classified into three different types or three substance: diamagnetic, paramagnetic and ferromagnetic substance. So we will try to understand this classification of the substance on the basis of their magnetic properties. And in the end we have an electromagnet and the permanent magnets. We know electromagnets are the temporary magnet. As long as the current is passed through it, it behaves like a magnet. And then permanent magnets which are used in our daily life. So this is the basic things which we will cover in this chapter, and this is the points regarding magnetism, and this is a brief history of magnetism. Now the second topic, again the information or the basic thing, the bar magnet. So it is said that Einstein was fascinated and wondered how bar magnet attracts nails or pen when the gift was given to him. So he used to play with the bar magnet and was fascinated as a child that how this bar magnet attracts nail and pen. Later on, the iron fillings were sprinkled on paper placed over a bar magnet, suggests that the magnet has two poles similar to electric dipole. So later on, the iron fillings were sprinkled, and below this paper we place a bar magnet, and it was found that this magnetic field lines form a particular pattern. like we know this, like this. All the iron fillings were forming the lines like pattern, and from that it helped to plot the magnetic field line similar to this. So when iron fillings were sprinkled on a paper and below the paper we place a bar magnet, the sprinkle or iron fillings were forming such lines. So it helped to plot the magnetic field lines similar to the field lines of, and it was later on found that these field lines were similar to the field lines of a solenoid. So this was a how the magnetic field lines were plotted. Now see the comparison. We have a bar magnet, solenoid and electric dipole. So from this experiment or from this observation, the pattern was drawn and it was found that these field lines were concentrated more near the edge of this bar magnet. So these points were known as the north and south pole, and when this bar magnet was suspended, it always one end always point towards a geographic north, so that was named as north and south pole. And this is how from the help of this iron fillings the pattern was drawn. So these are the magnetic field lines, and later on when the solenoids were made, it was found that the behavior of the solenoid is similar to that of a bar magnet, and we know that this is the magnetic field lines of a solenoid. So here the solenoid is made vertical, and then in first chapter we have studied about electric dipoles. Now what is the difference here? So we have a properties of magnetic field lines. So only there is one difference, that is the magnetic field lines originated from north and it does not terminate at south. Inside the bar magnet or inside the solenoid, it is again forming a closed loop. So the magnetic field lines of a magnet or solenoid form continuous closed loop. Now which was unlike the electric dipole. Now we have studied electric dipole do not form a closed loop. They originate from the positive charge and terminate at the negative charge. See the direction. They all are originating from positive and they are terminating at the negative. And you see the direction of this magnetic field line. So one difference between the electric field lines and the magnetic field line is that magnetic field lines always form a closed and the continuous loop. Second point about the magnetic field lines or electric field lines, that is common. We have written the characteristic of the electric field lines in chapter 1. So tangent to the field lines at any point represent its direction. So if this is the magnetic field lines, if I want to find out the direction, I will draw a tangent. At this point it will be the tangent which will give me the direction of the magnetic field intensity. So on the closed loop, at any point if I draw a tangent, it gives me the direction of the magnetic field intensity. Same thing was applicable if I want to find out the direction of the electric field intensity at point P. It is along the tangent of this electric field lines. So that property is same. The tangent to the field line at any point represents its direction. Third point was also similar. Larger the number of field lines passing through an area, stronger is the magnetic field. So if we have a 2 unit area, means an identical area, and in one, if we draw more number of field lines as compared to other, the area is identical, then the intensity is more. That point we have already discussed in chapter 1. So more is the number of field lines passing through a unit area held normal. Later on we will call it a flux. More will be the magnetic field intensity. And the last point, whether it is the electric field lines or the magnetic field lines, they do not intersect. We know that if the two field lines intersect, then this point is the tangent always gives you the direction. So at the point of intersection, the tangent to this field line, this is one field line, this is another field line. So this is one tangent. This is the tangent to field line number 1, and this will be the tangent to field line number 2. Say this is field line number 2, this is field line number 1. So at this point we will have a two direction that we have already discussed. You cannot have a two direction at a particular point. So same reason, the magnetic field line do not intersect each other, because if they intersect, then at the point of intersection two tangents can be drawn indicating the two direction of the magnetic field intensity, which is not at all possible. So here in this topic, a general thing is that the magnetic field lines, how the magnetic field lines were plotted. So this was a first observation from where these field lines were drawn, and we know electric field lines, whether it is an electric field line or a magnetic field line, they are an imaginary concept. They are helping us to understand the strength of the field. So electric field or magnetic field is a reality, but field lines are an imaginary concept which only help us to understand the direction or the strength. For example, from the numbers I can say this, the strength is more, but actually there is no such field lines. They are an imaginary concept drawn to understand the strength. So that was a definition of the electric field lines. Electric field line is a line, straight or curved, drawn in such a way in an electric field or magnetic field such that a tangent at any point give us a direction. So this concept was just to show you that the magnetic field lines of bar magnet and solenoid is similar. They form a closed loop, where the electric dipole, it does not form a closed loop. They originate from positive charge and terminate at negative charge. Again, it have two poles, north and south, similar to positive charge and the negative charge, but the behavior or the field line is different. Now our next theory is bar magnet as an equivalent solenoid. So in the previous topic we have seen the diagram where the magnetic field lines of a bar magnet and the solenoid were similar. Now let us find out the magnetic field intensity along the axis of a solenoid, and then we will say that the magnetic field intensity at the same distance from the center of the solenoid, that is will have a same value. So whether you consider a solenoid or a bar magnet, the magnetic field intensity at its axial point, this is along the axis, will be same. So few terminology will change. Otherwise we have studied the theory of a circular loop carrying current I. Now we have also studied that Ampere's says that all the magnetic phenomena can be understood in the terms of a circulating current. So according to Ampere, if there are circulating currents, that is the current is flowing in a circular loop, then it is easier to study its magnetic property. So in a solenoid we have a current flowing in a circular ring or in its end turns. Similarly, we have already derived this formula. So see the equivalence of all this diagram. All the points P is along the axis. This is a point P along the axis of a solenoid, point P along the axis of a circular ring, point P along the axis of a bar magnet. Now if bar magnet and the solenoid magnetic field line are similar, then there should also be a similarity between the magnetic field intensity. So if I take this distance of point P from the center of bar magnet to be say 100 meter, then the magnetic field intensity at the bar magnet, at point P due to bar magnet, and magnetic field intensity at the same distance from the center of solenoid. This is a finite length solenoid. The finite length is taken to be 2L. Distance is measured from the center. So we will try to find out this magnetic field intensity at point P, and whatever is the magnetic field intensity at point P, due to solenoid, it will be equivalent to the bar magnet of a same length. Here the current is flowing in a circular loop. So we know this, if this is a solenoid, this is a circular loop, that we know how the solenoid was formed. It was a helical coil. So this circulating current in the solenoid will help us to understand the magnetic field of a bar magnet. Now the formula for the magnetic field intensity at point P due to n turns was mu naught n I a square, a is the radius, 2 r square plus a square 3 by 2. Now to find out the magnetic field intensity along the axis of the solenoid, so we consider a point P at a distance r from the center of the solenoid. Now I consider one ring. Suppose this is a solenoid. So this is its center. So this is L, this is L. Total solenoid length is 2L. The radius is A. So this was a ring having n turns. Here we have a rings like this. That is a helical coil, solenoid. We draw it in a form of cylinder. So this is one ring. So let us take this ring, a small element. So this is called as a small element or one ring, or whatever number of turns are there. We take this thickness or the length to be dx. So this is assumed to be dx, and the distance of this element, this is a current element again. So we don't know how many turns are there because the turns are closely wound, but we know its length. I have taken, take this black strip as the thickness or the length dx. Now from the center, its distance is x, and the distance of point P is r. So A is the radius, the length of a solenoid is 2L, r is the distance of a point P from the center of the solenoid. To derive the magnetic field intensity, we consider a small current element. So length of current element is dx, radius of solenoid, that is A, x is distance of current element from center of solenoid. So these are the symbols which we will be using, and the length of the solenoid is taken as twice L. R is a distance of a point P along the axis of a solenoid. So I have to find out the magnetic field intensity at point P due to the small current element. So let us name this as dB. So dB can be written as, now let us apply this. We don't know how many turns are there in this strip. So this is this black portion is your current element. Now there may be 10 turns or 5 turns, we don't know. So we can find out the number of turns. Let us define small n. Small n is defined as n upon L. So what will be the number of turns here in this portion? In 1 meter we have, suppose, n turns. In dx, like this you can find out. In 1 meter, suppose we have n turns. So that is the number of turns per unit length. So we have taken the length of the strip to be dx. So the number of turns will be equal to n into dx. So number of turns, small n is defined as the number of turns per unit length. So in 1 meter, the number of turns is small n. That is per unit length. We know the formula. Small n is equal to capital N upon L. So in 1 meter, you check its unit, it is per meter. So we have a length of dx. So what will be the number of turns? So number of turns is equal to n into dx. So it is like this, that if I take a solenoid of 1 meter, the number of turns will be referred as small n. Now if this is only 5 centimeter, so that can be converted into meter, so number of turns will be n into the 5 centimeter. So small n is the number of turns per unit length, which can be replaced by n upon 2n. What is the total length? So here small n can be written as n upon 2n, total length. So number of turns in this should be n into dx. Now we apply this formula, mu naught. In the place of number of turns, what is the number of turns in this small element? That is n dx I a square upon 2. Now say this distance is from the center. This distance is from the center. We are finding out the magnetic field intensity at point P due to this element. So what should be this distance? It will be equal to r minus x only. So this is r, this portion is x. You are finding the magnetic field intensity at point P due to this small element. So distance should be r minus x. So in the place of r, we will write r minus x whole square plus radius is a square, that is 3 by 2. So this is the magnetic field intensity at point P due to the small element. Now we assume that the point P is far away, that is if r is greater than the radius and r is greater than L or 2L, that is far away, then we can eliminate this x also and we can write dB is equal to, now see the you have to assume that the point is far away. Now if we assume that the point is far away, that the denominator can be easily written as x and a will be eliminated. R is greater, so this x is eliminated, a will also be eliminated. So we will be left with mu naught n dx I a square upon 2 r square 3 by 2. So it comes out to be r cube. So this is one assumption that we are making, that a point P is far away from the center of the solenoid. So this is magnetic field intensity at point P due to this small element. I have to find out the magnetic field intensity due to entire solenoid. So this is the entire solenoid. So we have to do the integration. Now integration should be with respect to dx, that is with respect to the length of the solenoid. So the magnetic field intensity B is equal to integration of dB. Now limit will be equal to, this is the midpoint, this side will be minus L, this side will be plus L, so minus L to plus L. So we have the total length to be 2L, but the distance is measured from the same concept as we used to do for a electric dipole. So limit will be from minus L to plus L. So this can be written as mu naught I n a square upon 2r cube integration of dx minus L to plus L. So the magnetic field intensity B is equal to mu naught I n a square upon 2r cube. Now dx integration is x and the limit is minus L to L, that is L minus of minus L plus L, that comes out to be 2L. So that is the total length of a solenoid. So this is the magnetic field intensity along the axis of the solenoid. Now we have already derived a quantity which was known as the magnetic moment. So if we have a circulating current, we have a terminology called magnetic moment. Magnetic moment was given by NIA. So what will be the total number of turns in this solenoid? So total number of turns will be N into twice L. So N and twice L are already in the equation. So in the place of N, I can write N into twice L. Then I as it is area. So area is equal to pi a square. So here pi is missing. So I multiply and divide this equation by pi. So B is equal to mu naught I pi a square N twice L divided by 2 pi r cube. Now say this portion, this is N, both term is N, capital N is N into twice L, IA, that is a magnetic moment. So BXL is equal to mu naught M upon 2 pi r cube. So that is Kp by r cube. If you remember the electric field intensity along the axis of an electric dipole, so formula was 2 Kp upon r cube. So there is a similarity. Now for easy calculation, because we know mu naught is 4 pi into 10 raised to minus 7, so it can be easily cut if we have a 4 pi here. So we write this equation as 2 mu naught M upon 4 pi r cube. So this is the derivation for the magnetic field along the axis of a solenoid. So this is similar to, so if you remember the electric dipole, we have taken this as plus minus, then point P was taken at this end. So the electric field intensity was in the direction of the electric dipole moment, and EXL formula was equal to 2 Kp upon r cube. That is written as 2P upon 4 pi epsilon naught r cube. So in the place of a dipole moment, we have a magnetic moment. In the place of 1 upon epsilon naught, you have mu naught. See, the other term 2 and 4 pi r cube remains same. So this solenoid is similar to the electric dipole also. Behavior is like this. So there is an analogy between the formula. However, we have to connect this solenoid formula with a bar magnet. Now the magnetic field lines of both were same. Magnetic field lines of both were same. Now in this expression, M consists of current. M consists of current, circulatory current. But in the bar magnet, we cannot see any current. But again, according to Ampere, if there is a magnetic property of any substance, it should have an orbital magnetic moment. So you have to consider each and every atom of this substance, and each atom will have orbital magnetic moment. So Ampere's hypothesis say at microscopic level, each atom behave like a magnet, similar to the solenoid. Again, one face is north and another face is south. Here also we have one face as north, other as south. So all atoms, we will see that they will align in the same direction. If they perfectly align in the same direction, it will be a ferromagnetic, otherwise it is para or di. We will see that thing. But if there is a magnetic property of any substance, then it can be understood in the terms of the circulatory current. That was the Maxwell hypothesis. Now, you cannot replace, or for a bar magnet, this formula holds good, but M cannot be written in the terms of I because we cannot see a current anything here. Though at a microscopic level, each atom will have an electron revolving around it, so they will contribute to the orbital magnetic moment. But at macroscopic level, how we will define the magnetic moment of a bar magnet? So this was a magnetic moment of a solenoid which was equal to NIA, and in this case it was N into 2L I pi a square. So this is the magnetic moment of solenoid. Now whatever is its value, same should be the value of the magnetic moment of a bar magnet. So what was the dipole moment? How the dipole moment was defined? That was defined as Q into 2A. The magnitude of, it was defined as the product of magnitude of either charge and the distance between the two charges. So like this, the magnetic moment of a bar magnet is also defined as the product of the pole strength and appropriate distance between them. So here we introduce a new terminology which is called as the pole strength, and again it is represented by Q, but we name it Qm. So it is not a charge, we read it as a pole strength. In some book, the pole strength is also denoted by small p. So in our reference, in our book, P is for dipole moment, and for a pole strength, we introduce the term Qm. And if the magnet length is 2L, so this is the case. Now both this magnetic, if both these magnetic moments are equal, if their value comes out to be same, then the magnetic field intensity at point P at a distance r and the magnetic field intensity at a point P at the same distance r would be same. And in this case, for a bar magnet, I will write Bxl is equal to 2 mu naught. In the place of a bar, if it is a bar magnet, I will write Qm twice L upon 4 pi r cube. And if it is a bar magnet, if it is a solenoid, you can replace this M by NIA. So there is a equivalence between the bar magnet and the solenoid. So in the coming days, we will see that this bar magnet behavior is similar to that of a electric dipole, and you can see the analogy between the derivation also. In the first chapter, we have a formula which was 2 kp upon r cube. Here we have, in the place of 1 upon epsilon naught, you have mu naught in this chapter. Other constant remains same. In the place of m, here we have a magnetic moment. There we were having a dipole moment. So also say the formula for a magnetic moment and dipole moment. Now if we say a north pole, we call it pole strength plus Qm. If it is a south pole, its pole strength is minus Qm. So magnetic moment is defined as, the magnetic moment of a bar magnet is defined as the product of the magnitude of a pole strength and the distance between the two poles. So here, now onwards, solenoid and bar magnet have a same behavior as far as their magnetic moment is same, though their formula is different, but if their values comes out to be same, then they have a same magnetic field intensity. So here we use the concept of a circulatory current, and then we connect this concept with a bar magnet, because at microscopic level also we have a circulatory current. Every atom possesses electron revolving around it, and that motion of electron give rise to the orbital magnetic moment. So we will see that when these materials are being magnetized, each atoms will get aligned or it will not align. Depending on that, we will classify the material as di, para or ferro. So we wind up our lecture today here. Have a nice day.